On 5 News tonight, Ryanair's Brexit bombshell. Why flashing the cash could backfire for the boss of Sports Direct. And check if you need a doctor by going online. Ryanair says all of its new planes will be based outside the UK, accusing the government of behaving like headless chickens over Brexit. Sports Direct owner Mike Ashley caught with a wad of £50 notes as he visits the factory where he paid workers less than the minimum wage. And need a doctor? Then go online. The new NHS plans for booking appointments and ordering prescriptions. Also tonight, school mutiny. We'll speak to the head teacher who sparked a parent revolt over strict school uniform rules.
I care far too much about our children to allow them to do anything they like. I want them to have an amazing education at school.
And years to build, but seconds to blow. The tallest concrete structure to be demolished in Britain bites the dust. Hello and welcome to 5 News Tonight. I'm Danny Sinha. Ryanair says it'll base all of its 50 new planes outside the UK because of Britain's decision to leave the EU. Chief Executive Michael O'Leary said politicians who were trying to organise Brexit were like headless chickens with no idea. Meanwhile, at Prime Minister's Questions today, Theresa May was accused of waffle and creating huge uncertainty over the plans to quit. Here's our political editor, Andy Bell.
It may not have the best customer relations, but Ryanair is a great Irish, British, European success story. During the referendum, the former Chancellor, along with some old adversaries, warned a vote to leave could damage the company's presence here, and the flamboyant airline boss agreed. Now the company has announced none of its 50 new planes will be based in the UK, because nobody knows where Britain now fits into the European airline regulation.
It's a mess, and we look forward to seeing how the UK government works its way through that over the next couple of years, since it's clear they haven't a clue what they're looking for either.
So what is her plan for Brexit? Well, the Prime Minister faced MPs for the first time today since the summer break. Her answer? Just be patient.
As I said, this is about getting the kind of deal that is ambitious and bold for Britain. It's not about the Norway model or the Swiss model or any other country's model. It's about developing our own British model. So we will not take decisions until we are ready. We will not reveal our hand prematurely. And we will not provide a running commentary on every twist and turn of the negotiation.
Earlier, the leader of the SNP in the Commons had tried to push for just some detail.
Does she want the United Kingdom to remain fully part of the European single market? Yes or no?
Prime Minister.
The right honourable gentleman doesn't seem to quite understand what the vote on the 23rd of June was about. The United Kingdom will leave the European Union and we will build a new relationship with the European Union. That new relationship will include control of the movement of people from the EU into the UK, and it will include the right deal for trade in goods and services.
For now, that's pretty much all we have. Like the rest of us, Parliament will have to wait for more.
And Andy, a strong sign that leaving Europe isn't going to be an easy process or indeed a quick one.
Yes, and central to the whole problem, if you like, is this question of access to the European single market. At the moment, Britain is a member of the European single market and we can sell our goods and services very easily there. But what everyone in France and Germany is saying that when we leave, we will no longer be a member and therefore it will be much harder for us to sell our goods and services there. And it will also be harder if we have some sort of border controls, because that is the central trade-off. On Monday, David Davis, the Brexit secretary, said that it was improbable in his view that Britain would be in the single market. He's been slapped down since then by the Prime Minister's team. It does seem to me that Theresa May and her team are trying to keep the idea that somehow you can have the best of both worlds. You can have your cake and eat it on this, but at some point the crunch is going to come.
Andy, thank you. The next time you fall ill or need a prescription, instead of going to your GP, how would you feel about sorting it out online? Well, under new initiatives announced by the Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt today, that's exactly what people in England will be able to do as the government tries to ease the pressure on GPs and take the NHS into the digital age. But will it work? Layla Hayes has been finding out.
This is how it's always been. If you have a health problem, you go to the GP.
Hi there, I've got an appointment.
For a traditional face-to-face appointment.
Thanks very much. Hello.
But soon diagnosis could be on a smartphone or computer instead.
Come and have a seat.
The new NHS.uk website will mean instead of coming to a surgery like this, you can enter your symptoms online and receive tailored advice or a callback from a health professional.
The website will allow patients to book appointments online, access medical records and order prescriptions. Patients will also be able to search for which hospitals offer the best treatment in their area. The website is part of wider government plans to improve technology in the NHS, expected to cost more than £4 billion.
When you need medical help and advice, NHS 111 is just a phone call away.
The new website is an expansion of the current 111 non-emergency helpline. The government says a paperless NHS will make services more convenient. This GP has reservations.
The biggest worry really is the most needy population are those that don't have access to internet, either because they are elderly and frail or they don't wish to embrace technology. So I think that it's pandering to voters sometimes and not necessarily helping the most disadvantaged.
So will it work?
I'd 100% use it. I've used the 111 helpline before.
I'd rather see someone face to face. The thing is with phones and that, you can't never get through.
Yeah, I prefer the GP face to face, yeah. So I can express myself, I can tell the doctor what's my problem.
The new website could be ready by the end of the year. And the government hopes that if more of us go online, there could be less waiting time in the surgery. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Well, let's get some reaction to that. Joining me now is GP Sarah Jarvis and Dr. Maureen Baker, Chair of the Royal College of GPs. Good evening to you, ladies.
Good evening.
Sarah, starting off with you, is this going to make people's lives easier, the fact they can check out their symptoms online?
Well, certainly from the point of view of the other aspects of it, so for instance, being able to make appointments online, being able to order your repeat prescriptions online, knowing about your own past medical history, I think that's enormously positive. Certainly we already do all of that in our surgery. We've introduced it in the last couple of years and it's made a huge difference to patients. As for the other bits, yes, I think it might make people's lives easier, but of course we have to make sure that it's safe, which is why I'm very glad that it's being piloted first. The issue we've got is, yes, there are always going to be issues. There are always going to be risks that this might give people advice that they're fine when there's something seriously wrong with them. But actually, it's not as if they're not doing that already. There are loads of symptom sorters out there already.
Maureen, are you worried that serious conditions may not be picked up? I guess the problem with using an application of any sort, you haven't got somebody who's trained asking the right questions, have you?
Well, you're quite right. That is a concern. But also with an app, as opposed to what people currently do now, ring up. But with an app, you've got the software that underpins that you need to know is reliable and works. So the actual assurance of the product has to be done to the right standard.
Are you saying that we don't know that yet?
As far as I am aware, I haven't seen that this has been through the safety assurance and risk assessment processes. I hope it has.
Sarah, is that your understanding?
My understanding is that it's still in development. We're not quite there yet, but once it is, and I'm quite sure that if it's going out with the NHS logo on it, it will have been through rigorous tests, then of course it will be piloted first. And let's face it, Maureen has said that people at the moment are ringing up and getting face-to-face advice, but they're getting face-to-face advice with people who are not healthcare practitioners.
I was going to say, actually, a lot of us already, we search to, use search engines if we've got any symptoms and find out, what is it that we've got. I suppose, once it's been approved properly, this will be a bit more of an accurate way?
Well, I hope so. Again, we've got lots of options at the moment, and I think people are very confused. Certainly the British Medical Journal did a piece on online search engines within the last couple of years, and quite scarily, a significant proportion of them didn't even have people put in 15 sets of set symptoms, which would be classic for a particular problem, a clot on the lung or a heart attack or whatever. And actually, in about 40% of them, they didn't even have the right answer in the top 10. So we certainly think it needs to do better than that.
Sorry, Sarah. The fundamental issue is, if this goes wrong, can patients be harmed? And so you have to look at ways in which it could go wrong. Could it be the software? Could it be the quality of the advice?
Do you think that is possible?
It is possible to do it. What we would like to be assured before such a product goes live is that it has been through rigorous safety testing and assurance. And then I think it will be useful for some people if they know they can rely on it.
Very, very quickly, ladies, this isn't going to be suitable for everyone. I'm thinking of my grandma. She hasn't got a clue how to use the internet.
My dad's 90. He knows more about computers than I do.
Oh, well.
It's not going to be suitable for everybody. But
We must
good for Sarah's granny, not for your granny.
There we go. we must leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I suppose if you're a billionaire carrying a wad of £50 notes in your pocket, it might seem like loose change. But when you're Sports Direct's Mike Ashley visiting a warehouse where staff were paid less than the minimum wage and you're asked to empty your pockets as part of a security check, well, you can imagine it's rather embarrassing. Well, it was not a good day for Mr. Ashley overall. At a shareholders' meeting, he was accused of Victorian working conditions at the company. Peter Lane was there.
An awkward moment for a company which admits in the past some staff didn't even get national minimum wage. Sports Direct founder, billionaire Mike Ashley empties his pockets on a photo op tour of the warehouse. Mobile phone footage showing he had a wad of £50 notes.
A lot of cash? Yes, I've been to the casino.
A joke about casinos, possibly not the best idea on the day Sports Direct said it had failed its workforce and was at a watershed moment. After months of criticism and with a plunging share price, Sports Direct has pledged to start moving away from 0-hours contracts to enhance working conditions and appoint someone from the shop floor to the executive board. Mike Ashley today defended his position.
I'm a man who gets some things very right and other things very wrong. I got the staff bonus very right for a few years, hundreds of millions, fantastic. I seem to have got the warehouse completely wrong, totally unacceptable. So what we've got to do is keep the positives and then focus on the negatives. It is as simple as that. And in the end, if I keep failing and keep failing and keep failing, it'll be best for everybody if I go.
Agency employees arriving at the warehouse today, foreign workers, were being offered English lessons by a staff union and told us things are improving. Have things got better? Is it getting better?
Yeah, everything for every month is better, so it's no problem for nobody.
Month by month, it's
improving? Yeah, month by month, yeah.
How long have you been here?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, at the moment it's very better than 3 years ago, yeah.
Today's AGM was sometimes heated. Many shareholders want company chairman Keith Hellawell to go, but he's vowed to stay put for 12 months while the company carries out its own review. Some at the AGM say that review should be done by outside eyes.
We appreciate that Sports Direct have said that they're going to do a 360-degree review. I'm not quite sure how independent that will be, but they're obviously taking it seriously.
It won't be fully independent.
No,
do you want it to be fully independent?
We would like it to be fully independent.
The man who launched this company still owns most of the shares and is in control, promising a better future for everyone here. Peter Lane, 5 News.
While most children across Britain have gone back to school by now, some pupils at an academy in Kent still haven't made it through the gates after being turned away by their head teacher for not wearing the correct clothes. Well, this was the scene at the Hartstown Academy in Margate yesterday, with parents turning up to remonstrate with teachers after 50 pupils were sent home for not wearing the right uniform. Today, a further 20 children were sent home, leading some parents to complain staff are being heavy-handed.
She was refused yesterday with a tighter skirt on, so I took her back to Ramsgate home, changed the skirt. It's exactly the same uniform she wore yesterday when she was allowed to go back in, and now they're refusing her because of her shoes. So,
And what's wrong with the shoes?
Apparently because they've got a bit of gold on them.
The view of parents there. Well, earlier I spoke to Matthew Tate, the head teacher of Hartsdown Academy, who's only been in the job for 3 days. And I began by asking him how his first week was going so far.
I think that we've set out what we want to achieve at this school. I want this school to be an amazing school where children are proud of it, where actually they want to come to school and they behave in a way that ensures that every single child learns and is really successful. And I think, and my majority of my parents think, that we've done a good start to that this week.
Some parents, though, likening your approach to the Gestapo. We've got kids in tears. Do you think you could have found a less confrontational way of approaching this matter?
I mean, first of all, I think that's deeply offensive to those that are in the war. We wrote out to parents in July. We said this is what was going to happen. Children were told in assemblies that what was going to happen and what the uniform expectations were. The majority of our parents, the majority of our children do the right thing, and we are supporting them. I had Year 11s telling me yesterday that when they were in Year 7, they came to school in perfect uniform and they were bullied because of it. I want this school to be a school where actually children are safe and those children and those parents that do the right thing are supported, and that's what I'm doing.
I'm just wondering, though, because part of managing a school, of course, is managing parents as well. Do you think that you could have found another way? I'm thinking, for example, a week's grace period.
Parents had since July to get this sorted, and 90% or so of our parents have actually been supportive. I have numerous emails, numerous phone calls in saying that this was the right thing to do and that parents are really pleased that we're doing this. It's so important that children get that right start, and part of that is saying that this is the expectations. You can live up to those expectations and we will ensure that you get the very best at this school. I care far too much about our children to allow them to do anything they like. I want them to have an amazing education at this school. Hartsdown can be a brilliant school, and I have a great team behind me that will make sure that happens.
You say you care about the children, but I'm just thinking so much hostility at the start of term. Do you think this is damaging?
Again, we haven't had significant hostility. We have a few vocal parents that have complained and who have talked to the media and all the rest of it. The majority of our parents, and if you look online and see, there's over 80% or so of comments and your tweets, etc., are positive about our stance. Our children want to go to a school that they can be proud of, and actually part of that is having a uniform that signifies that we have pride in what we do here.
Okay,
my parents in the main are very happy what we're doing.
We know, though, also there is a cost issue with uniform as well. So you've sent those pupils home. What if those parents now can't afford that second uniform? Have you had that conversation with them?
We have offered second-hand uniform free of charge to those parents that need it. We've supported parents where necessary and where they've asked for it. The fact is that many parents have spent far too much money, so spending £110 on a pair of trainers rather than spending £15, £20 on a pair of suitable shoes. Again, this is actually supporting parents, because next year they will know that they will have me behind them when they say no to their children for getting those expensive trainers. Again, our parents are supportive of what we're doing here.
When you look back at the last few days, do you think you may well have done things differently? Do you regret your action?
Not at all. I wish that we had been clearer in some things we've told them. I thought, and my previous experience has been that saying to people that they need to wear school shoes, they need to wear a loose-fitting dress was sufficient, but there has been confusion and we have sorted that. But again, 90% of our parents got it right the first time, and I'm confident that as we go forward, everybody will get it right and live up to these expectations.
Matthew Tate, head teacher of Hartsdown School, speaking to me a little bit earlier. Well, we did ask you what you thought about his strict uniform policy, and this is from Lisa Fielding on Facebook. She says, "I totally agree with the headmaster. Start as you mean to go on. Show the children discipline from the start." And this one from Craig Skelton. He completely disagrees, saying, surely the fact they go to school is more important. Does a pair of shoes or a child's haircut really affect the way they learn? Well, do keep telling us what you think on Facebook or Twitter. It's certainly got you talking. Coming up on 5 News Tonight. Who is the celebrity daddy? But are parents oversharing pictures of kids going back to school? And bringing down the house? Well, the chimney, the Kent landmark, gone forever. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. You're watching 5 News Tonight. If you thought the Olympics and Team GB's amazing achievements were inspirational, then just wait. Tonight in Rio, the opening ceremony of the Paralympics takes place, firing the starting gun on 12 days of spectacle. The Games, though, had a bit of a shaky build-up, but now Britain's best are ready to repeat their achievements of 4 years ago. Here's Ruth Liptrot.
2012 was a game changer for the Paralympics, altering everyone's perception of what it means to be a disabled athlete. So in 2016, expectations are high, and we're hoping that stars like Ellie Simmonds, Johnny Peacock and David Weir will be able to recreate some of that magic. The Prime Minister had this message for the team.
This year in Rio, while you may not see those same British crowds around you, I want you to know that we will be there in spirit, watching on our televisions and willing you on all the way.
But even as the torch was lit, there were still concerns about how these games will play out. The build-up has been beset by difficulties, problems with underfunding, poor early ticket sales, and allegations about some British athletes being wrongly classified. But now that they're here, these guys will have more important things to think about.
Well, our athletes might be almost on the starting blocks over in Rio, but this is where the whole Paralympic movement started, right here at Stoke Mandeville Stadium.
Bob O'Shea captained the wheelchair rugby team at Sydney in 2000 and still trains here at Stoke Mandeville. This is how he remembers that opening ceremony.
We came out through the tunnel and into the Olympic Stadium to be greeted by 108,000 people screaming and cheering, and it was just mind-blowing.
How do you think the athletes will be feeling about some of the stuff that's gone on in the run-up?
They'll either be training or preparing. When they're in the village, in the athletes' village, they'll just be focusing on the job they've got to do until they've done it.
Well, that's it. They've got bigger things to think about than ticket sales, haven't they?
That by now, just being in the village, they'll be in the zone now.
So what advice would he pass on to them over the next couple of weeks?
Soak it up. It doesn't come around very often.
And when that opening ceremony starts, Bob will be watching and cheering them on. Ruth Liptrot, 5 News.
Now, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, your feed has probably been awash this week by proud parents posting pictures of their children on their first day of school. And even celebrities are at it. Wayne Rooney posted this photograph of his little boys on Twitter, on the cute. And Kerry Katona, she couldn't resist putting this snap of her 3 children online. And Elton John, he did it as well. This is the picture of his sons. But is it really a sensible thing to do? And how many parents are unwittingly making their pictures available to strangers? Well, new research has revealed parents share an average of 300 photos of their children online every year. But half say they only understand the basics of managing their social media privacy settings. Well, I'm joined now by Sophie Lillington from the Parents Support Network Parent Zone. Good evening to you, Sophie.
Hi.
It all seems a bit alarming. What are the dangers here?
Well, there are obviously dangers around letting people that you don't know see photos of your children. It's a very small risk, but it's a risk nonetheless. We think technology is a great thing, and social media platforms are great ways for proud parents to share those key kind of stages, particularly the first day back at school. But with lots of parents not knowing who's actually able to see their photos, they really need to be thinking about the kind of digital footprint that they're creating for their own child, and often not asking permission from their own child before posting.
I was going to say, say, for example, your child and my child are pictured together. Should there be a conversation between parents, Ian? Because, like you say, you lose control of that picture.
I definitely think yes. I would recommend that if you're posting someone else's child in a photo, that you just ask permission, and that in that way you'd expect to get permission back.
Isn't another issue, though, that people don't really need to think more about who they are friends with on social media? You know, am I really friends with this person on Facebook?
Yeah, I think Facebook still came out as the top social media sharing site. And in fact, on Facebook, you can choose even down to particular photos who you share them with. So if parents take the time to have a look at the settings on Facebook, then they can share much more safely.
We are running out of time, so I just really want to get your advice for parents. What should they be doing?
Think before you share, and also understand the settings on the social media sites that you're using. Absolutely key.
You say about those privacy settings as well, but it's not just understanding those privacy settings. Isn't it about updating them as well? Because a lot of people think, oh, I did that when I started, and they just leave it.
A lot of parents told us they hadn't checked the settings for over a year. So yes, I would say that's a regular kind of part of your monthly routine, just to have a look to see if there have been any changes, and check particularly the photos of your children that you're not sharing with people that you don't want them to see.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Now, for a generation, it dominated a skyline, a local landmark that could be seen for miles around. Today, though, in just moments, the chimney at Grain Power Station in Kent disappeared, the tallest concrete structure ever to be demolished in Britain. As Minnie Stevenson now reports, there were some emotional moments as the chimney went down in smoke.
In its heyday, the chimney site produced enough electricity to power over 1 million homes. But in seconds, it was gone.
Wow.
As the chimney at the Grain Power Station in Kent came tumbling down, so too did nearly 40 years of history. History, though, will remember this once giant as the tallest concrete structure to ever be demolished in Britain. Today, one of the former power station workers who pushed the demolition button was a little apprehensive ahead of the big moment.
It's going to be good to press the button and see it go, but I was involved in getting things done to it as well, so it's going to be the end of an era. It's going to be a big chunk off the landscape.
Built in 1979, its towering presence punctuated the Medway skyline for decades. People here told me when you saw the chimney in the sky, you knew you were home.
Well, emotional, I found it. I felt quite pride.
Really?
It's so sad to see the thing come down like that.
Emotional for me because I see it go up many years ago, and see it come down, I was a bit tearful.
40,000 tonnes of concrete and many memories left behind. A skyline which will never look the same again. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
And of an era, well, that's all from us. Sean Welby has the weather next, and Sam has the updates throughout the evening. So from all the team, thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye for now.